next topic I'm gonna talk about is loving yourself. Well, loving yourself is so key into striving towards goals and wanting to be somewhere in life, or you see yourself somewhere. You have to really love yourself and embrace being who you are, and that's important. So, and with being and with loving yourself, it comes with being happy and having happiness and self happiness. And happiness is always been told, you always heard it as an emotion, but you never been told that happiness is a mindset. You got to find things that make you happy and that's going to keep you happy. And know that those things in your life that's not keeping you happy shouldn't be there. If it doesn't keep a smile on your face in 2017, it shouldn't be in your life. It's pulling you down. It's not pushing you up. It's not throwing you towards your goals. So self happiness is something that you need going into 2017. Now that you're in 2017, happiness and building yourself and loving yourself is so key, and it's so important that you know that happiness is not just your emotion; it's your mindset. You got to know that you want to be happy and find the things that's gonna keep you happy in order for you to stay happy, and that's important. Because I recently, I talked to someone. I talked to a lot of people about, what should my next topic be about? And a few people told me, well, loving yourself or self happiness and relationships. And I thought like, well, self happiness, self loving yourself is that it's all of that in one. You got to be self happy. You gotta be happy enough to love yourself. And it was a girl when she was talking to me about how she was insecure and she had low self esteem. But to me, in my eyes, this girl was beautiful. Like she's beautiful. Everything about her is her smile is wonderful. Like when she smiles, her cheekbones lift up and makes her nose scrunch up and her eyes pop and her forehead shrinkle up. It's like her whole face is smiling. And then once her face smiles, her whole body smiles, and it's like she's uplifting. And it's joyful to see her smile. Like she is, and it's crazy to me that she told me how she had low self esteem, and she doesn't wear like revealing clothes. She don't wear tight clothes, and I never thought about, well, why don't she? And why doesn't she? Why don't she like wear those clothes? And why don't she show a little? But and then it came to me when she said that I have low self esteem or I'd be discouraged to wear certain things to the way people would think. And that's when that comes with loving yourself. You have to love yourself, and no matter what someone else tell you about what you wearing has nothing. It has nothing to do with them. You wear stuff for you. That's what another thing is with relationships. A guy can't come into your life expecting you to change things in order for you to be with him. If you're that person before you met him, you're going to stay that person. You can't change yourself for someone. That's like loving yourself. You can't make something or someone cannot make you love yourself. You got to love yourself on your own. That person or that thing can come in your life to help you love yourself, but it's only temporary. That's not going to stay with you forever. That little happiness, that stuff that's going to make you happy and love yourself, it's not going to be there if it's not coming from you. If it's coming from someone else, it's temporary. It's not going to stay there forever. So you have to learn to love yourself on your own. And that's with putting time aside and focusing on you. That's why I say, building yourself is key. So taking time to, focus on yourself and doing the things that you like that's going to make you happy is all into loving yourself and building who you want to be and who you are. So that's important, man. And then we were talking and I was telling her, like, it's nothing about you that I would think you should be, you should have low self-esteem. I don't see it. I can't see that. That's not written over her on her face. I can't see that she has low self-esteem. That's something I wouldn't have known if she wouldn't have told me. Because for me, that girl, I consider her as a perfect girl. She's smart. She's low key. You don't see her out partying, and that's crazy to me that she has low self-esteem. You don't see her out kicking it. She doesn't wear revealing clothes, nothing tight. She doesn't wear a load of makeup. She's very natural. And we were talking, and I was like, you're considered a perfect girl. She loves sports, and I'm a sports fan. I'm like, you're a perfect girl. And I know girls who are like her who get those girls who are down to earth and get cheated on by those girls I call or consider a fairy tale girl. That fairy tale girl is that guy that the guys are going to go out and look for just to be that fairy tale, not to last long and be temporary. That's that fairy tale that they go look for. And for me, it's like we need to start building. As a guy, we need to start pumping our women heads up who are our perfect girls that we leave for whatever reason of go find that fairy tale. Start building our women confidence up so she can build herself into being that fairy tale and that perfect girl all in one. It's a movie that I love to watch. It's called Weird Science. It's about some teenage boys who take a girl from a magazine, or it might have been a TV show or a movie, and create her to come to life, and she ended up being the perfect girl for one of the guys, and it's crazy because they made her into what they wanted her to be. So I'm not saying to change yourself for me or change yourself for that guy, but I'm telling the guy to be able to make you build up your self-esteem and tell you and show you that you're beautiful without that. But if you want that, then maybe you should try it. So that's huge, man. But don't do anything that someone is forcing you to do. Don't be that person someone else wants you to be. Be that person who you want to be. If you want to change yourself for you. Don't change yourself for nobody else. And that's important to know that you can't have someone in your life that's constantly telling you, oh, maybe you should try something else, or maybe you should wear different clothes, or maybe you should lose your glasses because I don't like the way your glasses make you look, or maybe you shouldn't wear that shirt because that shirt is not, it's too loose on you, or those jeans are too loose on you. Like, you can't have someone in your life constantly telling you to change who you are. If you're that person, change who you want to change into on your own. Don't be forced to do that. Like, I have another female who say, I like, Beyonce. I want that Beyonce body, or I want to be one of those girls on TV. And I'm like, well, Beyonce worked to get where she's at. Her body is where her body is because she trained to get that. And her success comes from her. Like, she got to where she is because of her. You can't want to put yourself in someone else's shoes when your shoes ain't clean. So if you want to be that person, you have to work in order to be that person. If you want that body, you have to work and put that work in to get that body. They don't get all that for free. Beyonce might have been blessed with a lot of good looks, but everyone is blessed with their own looks. It's certain things. That's why everybody is unique in their own way. You've been hearing that from your parents since you were little, since it's in diapers. So you are who you are for a reason, and you have to embrace and love yourself in order to want to do things in life. And that's what with me, like, striving towards your goals. You have to, like, for motivational speaking, I know I like to talk to people. I know, like, maybe someday I can be a preacher, or I can be a pastor, and I can talk to people, or a counselor. Being able to connect with people is something I like to do, and that's only because I'm confident enough to talk to people. I want to sit down and talk to people eye to eye and get to know them, and I want them to get to know me. So once people know who you are for you and not some front that you putting on for somebody else, then you will find out that's when people love you even more. When people know the real you and your real colors, they're gonna love you even more. If you love yourself for who you are, people will love you even more. And you can't love somebody else without loving yourself first. So that's important. That's key. You gotta love yourself in order to love someone else. Because you can't change. That's huge. You can't change yourself to get someone to love you, because eventually yourself, your true self, is gonna show your true colors. You can't put up that front for long. You can't show me some other girl when months go past and I started seeing the real you. That's gonna give me that's kind of like, oh, well, she been lying to me this whole time. She been putting on this whole front, and now I see who she really is. So be yourself and love yourself for who you are, and know that loving yourself, and you may lose people. People may not like you for who you are, and that's fine. Because my thing is staying winning is for you. You have to win on your own sometimes. When they hand out that trophy for number one, it's only one trophy. So you got to know that winning is important to do on your own sometimes, and building yourself to love yourself on your own is important sometimes. And that's huge. And loving yourself is something that I would have never found myself talking about. Because it's something, for me, I've always been confident. I've always told myself, oh, I'm the best at this, or I look the best, and I can do this if I wanted to. It's your mindset. So our mindset is so important. Because if you can tell yourself something, then you can make yourself believe it. And I believe that, I'm the best at something, or I believe that I am handsome. You got to tell yourself things that maybe other people have never told you before. And you may not have heard that from nobody but your parents. And for me, it's my mother. Like, being raised by a single mother, I never had my father around to tell me, oh, son, you got my looks, or son, you can do this or do that. I had my mother, and hearing my mother say it's coming from a woman. So I know what my mother liked me to have a low cut hair. She don't like for my hair to be wild. So I said, if my mother liked me to look that certain way, then maybe I should carry myself like that, low cut, and maybe, the ladies will like me with a low cut. So that's something that I took from my mom. And so I love the fact that I love myself, and I want everybody to like loving yourself. It's so I would have never thought to talk about it because it's something that for me I've always done. But and I can't say I've always done. There were times when I was younger, but I've always been a little bit conceited. I was a little chubby guy. For those who know me, know I was chubby, but I've always been joyful. I've always been happy because I love who I was. I've always loved me for me. So that's important. Love yourself. And always know that you can't change yourself for someone else. You gotta love yourself for who you are. I've also talked to, a friend of mine, a real close friend of mine, and we were talking on the phone, and we was talking about, focusing on yourself. She's someone that I can go to about advice, and I can go talk to her on the phone for hours, or even when during the middle of the night, I can text her out of the blue and say, I got a lot on my mind, I need to talk. And to hear her say that, I've been going through a lot, because I know I'm not the only one who called her for advice, and she been saying, people have been calling me and I don't know what to do. I even had a nervous breakdown, and I said, well, you got to stop. You got to stop not worrying about other people, but to a certain extent where you got to stop taking in other people's advice and you catching and you're putting so much emotion into it. It's like you stepping in those shoes and you're that person. And when I said you can't step into someone else's shoes when your shoes ain't clean. So I told her to stop bringing on extra stuff, putting extra stuff on her back when she needed to focus on herself. I didn't tell her to stop giving advice, but I told her to stop worrying about, focus on her priorities, focus on her before she can go focus on something else, because she was dealing with things in her life. And I said, how can you sit there and deal with so much going through your life and then worried about what's happening in someone else's life? So you got to focus on yourself too, and with loving yourself. You can't build on. You can't have so much in one bag. The bag gonna break. Whether the handle gonna break or it's gonna be a hole in the bottom, it's gonna break. You can't keep filling something up. You're gonna explode. That's why I like when I'm overthinking, I'm thinking about something, I need to hurry up and I need to call somebody. I need that person in your life who you can call and talk about things. Because I'm telling you, when you get that stuff off your mind that you've been thinking about all day and all night for weeks and days, you just feel like something have uplifted off your chest and something has taken off your back. Once you talk about those things that you're constantly thinking about, if you're constantly thinking about something, it's gonna hurt your head. It's gonna mess with your mind. It's your mindset. It's the way you think. Once you talk about that stuff and discuss it with somebody, or even discuss the things that you're thinking about with somebody else, it still feel uplifting. It feel like you don't have to talk about or think about that no more because you moved on from it. So talk about those things that's been running through your mind. That's what focusing on yourself. You gotta focus and love who you are. And I really wanted to, put out a video. In my next video, it wasn't even about self-love, but I'm so glad that I did self-love and loving yourself, because that's so important. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and y'all stay winning, knowing that winning is key and knowledge is power.